Hey guys, it's Sam with The Blind Life. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at the brand new Snowpad brought to us by ZoomX. A couple things make this a very interesting device. Number one, the fact that it folds down and it's pretty light, making it very portable. But the Snowpad is using a tablet as both its camera and its screen. The Snowpad comes as just the base unit, the stand, and you use your own tablet with it. And since most of us already have tablets, this is a great way to save some money. It currently supports all the different versions of iPad, and there are a very small handful of Android tablets that can run the Snowpad app as well. I think it's just a couple of Xiaomi tablets. For more information about that, you can check out the ZoomX website. But this might be a good option for those out there that already have an iPad. You can save a little bit of money, but still get a super competent video magnification device. So first, let's talk about the hardware for the Snowpad. So it's clearly following a new, but getting to be common design trend that we're seeing in the market. And that is these foldable, portable, lightweight video magnifiers, which means that this is going to be ideal for anybody that needs to travel with one of these devices, whether that is back and forth to class or to an office, or maybe you do a lot of traveling and you're going to need something on the road. This might be a great option for that. Let's take a look at what comes in the box. Of course, you're going to get the Snowpad itself. You get this extension tray that's for writing, a USB Type-C charging cable to charge up the stand, and you get two of these small flexible cables. One is a USB Type-C to Lightning cable, which is the one I'm using, or you get a USB Type-C to USB Type-C for newer devices. Then you get two adhesive discs. These attach to the back of your tablet. In my case, I attached it to the case here. But that is used to attach your iPad or your tablet to the stand here. This plate on the stand here is magnetic, which means your tablet just sticks right to it. And it is a very strong connection. It's so strong, in fact, that it's not really ideal to just pull it right off. You actually have to slide it off of the plate. But the other benefit is that these are super thin discs, so it doesn't really interfere with anything by having it stuck on the back of your tablet like this. In fact, I've had this on here for a couple of weeks now, and it hasn't hindered me using my tablet in any way. I will say, though, that I have not tried to remove this yet. So I don't know how strong that adhesive is, but you do get two of these discs just in case something happens. Then finally, you get a backpack. Rather nice backpack to hold all of your items here. Then you also get a type of user manual. On the top of the stand here, you have this camera module. This is your distance camera, and it can also be rotated around for a type of selfie camera, but this does rotate almost completely around. I'd say it's about 300 degrees of rotation. It also will pivot, so you can angle it up a little bit, you can angle it down. On the side of the top plate here, you have the USB Type-C port. This is for that flexible cable that will connect the stand to the iPad. On the upper left corner of the top arm here, you have the power button. Long pressing this will turn on the stand. Long pressing this will turn off the stand. And then towards the bottom of the side here, you have the USB-C charging port for the stand. Then finally, you have this extension plate here. This goes on the right side of the Snowpad, and this simply extends the base out a little further to facilitate the fact that the camera is offset on your iPad here. It's going to give you a nice flat surface, a nice large flat surface for writing, filling out paperwork. When the Snowpad is all folded up, it is a very compact package. You do have a handle that folds in and out here. When you're ready to use your Snowpad, you want to set it down flat so that this camera module here is facing you, and you want to swing it up. And then the plate here swings out. Then, as I said, your tablet just magnetically attaches to the plate. And the only thing you want to be aware of is that the camera needs to be in this bottom right corner. And want to plug up our little flexible cable here, connecting the stand to the iPad. And this connection is mainly to operate the camera here. You have an exterior camera on the stand that you'll be able to access through the app. All right, let's jump into the app and check out the features. The app is just a free download from your tablet's app store. I've got the app on my home screen in my dock here so that it's always there ready to go. And here we are, we've got our first look at the user interface for the SnowPad. Of course, main focus is the video magnification. We can pinch to zoom in, zoom out. Touching the screen brings up our controls here at the bottom. If you don't touch the screen for a short time, they will disappear. The dock will go back down. And also tap the little icon here to make it go down or come up. Little arrow icon. Maximum magnification is 32 times. That is crazy magnification. Good news is those micro jitters do go away as you zoom out. If you need a little extra light, you can tap on the screen and tap the light icon over there, and that will turn on the light for the iPad. Let's move that out of the way so we can see these a little bit better. So we have some options on the bottom here, and there's a little arrow at the end here to bring out even more options. But let's go back here and take a look at these. All right, the first one here is a camera that just takes a photo of the image and saves it into our gallery. If we want to look at the gallery, it's the very next icon. I can tap that, and here is that picture that we just took. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, pinching just like normal. But now, unlike the live view, we can move this image around. And since this is using the power of the iPad, it's very responsive, which is great. All right, let's take a picture of some text here. And then let's view that in the gallery here. Now that we're in the gallery here looking at this photo we just took, we have some more options. On the screen in the upper left corner, we have an arrow to go back. In the upper right corner, we have a trash can and a share button. So the trash can will delete this photo. The share, if I tap that, it gives us all of our normal iPad options for sharing a picture. Down at the bottom, we have a bunch of different options now that we're in the gallery. The first one here is to convert this photo into text only. So if I tap that, it just turned everything into text, like a text document. This is pretty cool. Now I can zoom in and zoom out if I want to. If I click it again, we go back to our regular image. The next option is a play button, and this will play the text to speech.
Sam's Evie shares his tips for living well while being visually impaired. Evie was 11 years old when he was diagnosed with Stargardt.
So that button will play, and it will also pause the reading. If we switch over to text here, and I
Sam's
do
Evie
that,
on Living the Best Blind, the orator of the YouTube channel The Blind Life.
You'll see that we also get a highlight that follows the reading. Next to it, we have a speed button, and this will increase or decrease the reading speed. The next couple ones are grayed out. Those are only accessible when you have it set to the original image. We'll come back to that. And then the very end is the contrast, the color contrast button. So we can change the color contrast of this document, whatever is going to be preferable for you. All right, let's jump back to the original picture and we'll take a look at these options. This button that looks like a grid pattern is kind of interesting. This will break down the image into sections and let you listen to specific sections. So if I tap it, now we have a ton of little microphones and little sections of text that are separated by red boxes. So if I touch one.
One day, I was inspired to search on YouTube for information.
It reads that specific section. The next button over will rotate the image. Then this last button here is for annotations. If I tap it, it brings up a new page and some new controls down at the bottom for annotating. First button here is another rotate. We can rotate the image. The second button is the highlights or the highlight color button. So if I tap that, it's set to blue. If I tap it again, it changes colors, and we can set it to whatever color. We'll leave it on red. So now if I want to cross out my face here, we could do that. Of course, we have that same button to switch the different color contrasts. And we have a crop button that we can use to crop the image if we want. If we want to save this, we hit the check mark in the upper right. If we want to cancel all of this, we hit the X in the upper left. Next, we have the OCR button. So I'm going to line up my text that I want to be read out loud. And then we'll tap the OCR button.
OCR.
And that just took a quick picture of this text and basically brought us right back to the same interface as the gallery. And I have my OCR button here. I can tap that.
Evie was 11 years old when he was diagnosed with Stargardt's disease, an early onset form of macular degeneration.
And then I can pause it and once again have all the same controls that I had in the gallery. Next button over is our color contrast button, and this will cycle through all the different color themes that we have available. And we just have a couple set by default, but you can go into the settings and adjust that to add more colors. Next button over is a pretty cool button. It's kind of a quick zoom in and zoom out. So if I'm zoomed in here and I'm reading this, and I know there's a different section of the page here that I want to find. Instead of zooming out and seeing, oh, there it is, it's down there, and then zooming back in to find the image, instead I can tap this button here. It zooms out and there's a little square in the middle indicating my magnification area. So now I can drag that down over the spot that I want to zoom into, and then tap that button again, and it zooms right back in. Currently, we are using the rear-facing camera on the iPad, but we have other cameras we could use. So if we want to switch to those cameras, we can tap this button here. And this also does a split screen here. So we have the rear-facing camera on the right side. We have the distance camera on the left. Since this camera does have the ability to angle up and down, I can point it up at the painting up there. And now we have a split screen of those two cameras. I can drag the split screen middle one way or the other, depending on which one I want to have the primary focus on. I can tap on one and zoom in on that, or I can tap on the other and zoom in on that one. If I tap that camera button again, it will do a horizontal split screen. So now the distance camera is at the top, the bottom document camera at the bottom. Tapping again will switch to the individual cameras. So now I have the distance camera at full screen. Now I've pointed it to the box there in the distance, and you'll see that the image is flipped. So if we tap the screen in the upper right, we have an option to flip that image to make it display correctly on the screen. One benefit of doing the split screen with the near view and the distance view is going to be for students. They'll be able to point the camera at the teacher up at the front of the room, maybe working on the blackboard. If they still have blackboards in schools, I don't know. It's been a long time since I was in one. But then they can also have their worksheet down here and be able to follow along with that as well. That's all the icons here on this main screen. If I tap the arrow, we have a bunch of new icons. The first one here,
Detail view.
this one is detail view. And what this does is it does a split screen once again, and it has the regular magnified view over on the right side with an extreme magnified view on the left. So I could see this being very helpful for stamp collectors, maybe coin collectors, or possibly needing to cut your fingernails, any of that stuff that's you're gonna require some really good detail view, but you also wanna be kind of zoomed out so you can have the context as well. Next button over is our selfie button. If I tap that, it will turn over to the top camera. Where are you? There you are. So I can tilt it down and get a selfie view. Next, we have our lines and blinds. If I tap that, a little menu pops up with all of our lines and blinds options. Oh, disappeared. Let me tap it again. So I can tap this first one here and we have a horizontal line. Tapping the next one over gives us our vertical line. And if I want to move that, I just grab it and drag it wherever I need to. If I don't want those, I can just tap the first button here to get rid of them. Next, we have our blinds. And same thing, I just tap the button to cycle through those blinds. And we have two handles here, so I can drag it, move this wherever I need to. Next, we have a file icon. If I tap that, it gets into our files, mostly our photos that we've been taking. Next, we have a settings button, and then we have the lock focus button. Usually when you're writing, you don't want the focus to switch to your hand here. You want it to stay focused on the paper, so you can lock the focus for that. All right, let's jump into settings real quick, and we can take a look at those.
Basic mode.
The SnowPad has a basic mode, and what it does is it removes a lot of the buttons on the home screen or the main user interface that you're probably not going to be using that often. I would argue 75% of people aren't going to be using some of those buttons. So you can turn on basic mode and just have these core elements on the home screen.
Home edit.
Then the next two options here, home edit,
Image edit.
home edit and image edit. This lets you customize your home screen buttons and your photo editing buttons, or in the gallery, the buttons that show up in the gallery. So if you don't want some of these options, you can turn them off. If you want maybe the focus lock button and the selfie button, maybe you want those on the first page of icons, you can reorder these and do that.
OCR and TTS.
OCR and TTS, or text to speech. So you have a couple options in here, mostly changing the language, and it looks like there's a ton of languages available.
Demo video.
You can watch a demo video here through the settings.
Color mode.
Color mode. Now in here are all those colors, those extra colors that I mentioned earlier that are currently disabled, which means that they don't show up in that main list of colors that you can choose. But it's no problem. You just tap one. If there's a red X, it means it's disabled. If you tap it and the X goes away, then it's enabled.
Line color.
You can choose what color the line is for the lines and blinds.
Voice prompt.
We can turn off these voice prompts that we're currently using.
Frequency.
Frequency, this has to do with what country you live in.
Reset.
And then we can reset all of our settings if we want to. And then finally,
Software.
the last one is software information. Okay guys, so that was a detailed look at the new SnowPad from ZoomX. This is a nice option in the small portable video magnifier category, especially when you consider that they let you use your own iPad. Don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but if you want to fold it down with the iPad in there, that works no problem. The only thing that I will mention is, one thing to note, this camera assembly here, this distance camera, it just kind of sticks out here. So this is something to definitely be careful about, especially putting it in and out of bags, including the provided backpack. I find that you really have to turn it sideways so that the camera is pointing up and put it into your backpack this way. If you try to do it this way, that camera is going to get caught on the side, the zipper, and this feels pretty solid, but I definitely wouldn't want a chance accidentally ripping it off. But that's it for this one, guys. Sam with The Blind Life. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.